Welcome to Mitchell Maths. In this video we are going to go through some questions involving the volume of a cone. And what I've done is I've written the formula on the top of the screen because you will be given the formula in the exam, which is a third pi r squared times by h. And the first question just wants us to simply find the volume of a cone and give our answer to one decimal place. So what we're going to do, so if we have to look at the formula, a third pi r squared, well, r stands for the radius. And we can see at the bottom of the cone, the radius is just the radius of the circle at the bottom of the cone, is 12. We've also got h, and h stands for the height, where we can see the height is given as 29 centimetres. And it's just a case of plugging the numbers into the formula to get our answer. So it'll be a third times by pi times by 12 squared times by 29. And if you put that into your calculator, you will get 4,373.1 to one decimal place centimetres cubed. Right, the next question is something you could get on a non-calculator paper. So it's calculate the volume of a cone and leave your answer in terms of pi. Okay, I'm going to write it out. So I've got a third times by pi times by r squared. So, well, 3 squared would be 9. So I'll just put times by 9 times by 7. Now, if I look at the formula, I've got a third and I need to multiply that by 9 times 7. Well, if I multiply a third by 9, if you multiply by a third, it's the same as dividing by 3. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So what I'll get is I'll get pi times 3 times 7. Well, 3 times 7 is 21, so I'll end up with 21 pi. And you always write the number first. I wouldn't write pi 21. The number always goes in front of any terms you've got. Okay, the next question says, the volume of the cone is 100 pi centimetres cubed. Find the value of r. So this is one of the type of question where we're going to have to write out the equation, and then we're going to have to rearrange it to find r. Okay, so I've got a third times pi times r squared, which I don't have, times height, which is 12, equals 100 pi centimetres cubed. And I'm going to rearrange this in order to find the r. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to times by 3 to get rid of the third. That will leave me with, I'll write the number first, 12. I'll write it this way around, 12r squared pi, I've got rid of it with the third, equals 300 pi. I can divide by pi, which will get rid of it on both sides, and I'll be left with 12r squared equals 300. I then can divide by 12. And if I divide 300 by 12, I get 25. And finally, to get r, I can just square root, and the square root of 25 is 5. So, yeah, the value of r is 5 centimetres. So all you do is you write out the equation. You've got your equation for the volume, and you've been given the volume in the question. So if you make it equal to the volume, it's then just a case of rearranging and making r the subject. Right, so the next one, question 4. The volume of the cone is 36 pi centimetres cubed. Express h in terms of x. So in this question, we don't so much have to find a value as an answer. We just need to write out a formula in a different order. Right, so I'm going to I've got the volume, so I'm going to use that to write my expression. I've got a third pi times r squared. Well, we can see r is, in this case, 2x. So we're going to have 2x squared multiplied by h. I'm probably going to write actually all this on the top of the fraction, over 3. So what I'll have is, if I have 2x squared, that'll be 2x times 2x. I should really write the x's like that. Will be 4x squared. So I'll have 4x squared pi h over 3 equals 36 pi. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by 3 first to get rid of the fraction. So I'll times both sides by 3. That'll give me 4x squared pi h equals 108 pi. I'm then going to divide by pi just to cancel out the pi on both sides, which will give me 4x squared h equals 108. I can then divide by 4, or I can actually divide by 4x squared, that'll probably be better. So I'll divide by 4x squared to make h the subject, because then I'm expressing h in terms of x. So I've got h equals 108 over 4x squared, and that actually simplifies to 27 over x squared, and that's my answer. So that's expressing h in terms of x. So all I've done in this question is I've written out the formula for volume. I've made it equal to the volume which you've given up here in the question, and then I've rearranged the equation to make h the subject so that I can finally get it in terms of x. Question 5. So this is a rate of change question. The cone is filled up with water at a rate of 45 centimetres cubed per second. How long will it take? We'll calculate how long it will take to fill the cone completely. Right, I know it's filling up at 45 centimetres cubed per second, but in order to work out how long it'll take to fill up completely, I first need to know the volume of the cone, which I've got the radius of the cone. The radius is 6, the height is 19, so I can work out the volume. So I'll do a third times by pi times by 6 squared times by 19. And if I put that into my calculator, you'll get the volume as 228 pi. I'm just going to leave it in terms of pi for now. Now that I've got the volume of the cone, so that's the total volume, if I want to know if it's filling at 45 centimetres cubed per second, in order to work out the time it's going to take to fill, I need to do volume divided by the rate at which it's filling, which is 45. So I'm going to have 228 pi over 45, and because it's filling at 45 centimeters cubed per second, I'm going to get my answer in seconds. 228 pi over 45 equals 15.9 seconds to 1 decimal place. And that's my answer. So the first thing was I needed to find my volume, and I could just do that by using what I'd been given in the diagram. I then needed to divide the volume by the rate at which it was filling up, because if it's filling up at 45 centimetres cubed per second, I need to divide the number of centimetres cubed, the total volume, by the rate at which it's filling in order to get the time taken. And the last question is the cone has a volume of 2000 over 3 pi centimetres cubed. Find the value of x. Well, I've been given 8x, which is the height. I've also been given 8x, which is the diameter. The first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to get the radius. I'm going to divide 8x by 2 to get the radius, because that's the diameter. And that will give me 4x. So 4x is the diameter. Right, I'm going to now write out the formula. So I've got 1/3 times pi times 4x squared times by 8x. And that equals 2000 over 3 pi. I'm going to times both sides by 3 to get rid of the so I'm going to times this side by 3, I'm going to times this by 3 in order to get rid of the fraction. I'm also going to divide by pi, which will give me 4x squared 8x equals 2000. Right, so if I do 4x times 4x to work out what that is squared, don't remember to square the 4 as well, will give me 16x squared. And then I will need to multiply 16x squared by 8x. Well, 16 times 8, if you work that out on your calculator, it will be 128. And I'll have x cubed equals 2000. I'm then going to divide by 128. So x cubed equals, well, 2000 divided by 128. If you put that in your calculator, you'll actually find out it's the same as 125 over 8. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need to take the cube root of that to find x. So x is equal to the cube root of 125 over 8. And the cube root of 125 is 5. The cube root of 8 is 2. 5 over 2, which is equal to 2.5. So your value for x is 2.5. Right, thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. If you'd like to see more videos, please hit the subscribe button. And for practice questions, please visit my website, www.mitchellmathsandscience.com. The link will be given in the description.